Well, good evening, everybody, from day 10 here at COP29. The day has been all about tourism and travel, lots and lots of meetings taking place, all of them focusing on how tourism and travel can become more sustainable and how those individuals, those businesses, those government entities involved in that sector can get more support for transitioning to a net zero future. Now, let's bring in, as we always do, Anastasia Lavrina and Orkan Amashov. Guys, it's been a very busy day today, and this is an interesting one, isn't it? Tourism, travel. On the one hand, we know that we need to continue to travel. In fact, the very fact we're making so much progress in multilateral discussions like here at COP29 is based on the fact that people can actually meet each other face to face. On the other hand, though, we know that that very travel can actually harm the environment too.
Indeed, and all the participants now try to agree on the sustainable tourism development in the upcoming months and years. As we are talking about the climate change, how exactly each particular country may contribute to this agenda, mutual agenda, to make the sustainable environment properly accepted by all member states. Well, I would like to bring your attention to the declaration which historically, for the first time at the COP conference, was announced by Azerbaijani side and already got a broad support. Baku declared climate action in tourism as a key priority during COP29 here. And if I'm not mistaken, around 50 countries already put a signature in support of that declaration. And the collection of signatures will continue until COP30. Therefore, now here at COP29, Baku and other delegates are trying to pursued the member states to make sure that they're also well aware about the document and willing to participate. And then later, maybe other countries, when they see the benefits of these declarations, they may also decide to be part of it. And again, I would like to highlight that this is the first time in the history of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, climate action in tourism has been included in the official COP action agenda under the presidency of Azerbaijan. So sustainable ecotourism, it was the topic number one for all delegates, and even during our interviews here with the participants from different countries, like the lady member of Parliament of Portugal, she also said about the intention of her country to be actively involved in the sustainable tourism development, ecotourism, in the upcoming months and years, as each country has its own benefits from tourism promotion and development. But with the new standards, with the new rules and new obligations, the country will have to follow after COP29.
Yeah, it's one of those issues that truly touches every country, every delegation involved here. Well, let's just also talk, though, about the trillion-dollar elephant in the room. You know, as well as this topic being discussed and debated and progress being made, there is also intense pressure behind the scenes to see if delegations can get some sort of consensus on this climate finance deal.
Yeah, intense, very, very complicated and also very challenging discussions are still underway. And we expect to hear about the new text of the NCQG. I believe it will be shared with the parties before midnight, and probably we'll hear about it first thing in the morning. We remember that on day 3, the draft text was prepared and shared, but that was the first text, but this one will be updated one. So there's an element of progress there. Different figures have been mentioned. 1.3 trillion US dollars is what we need actually in reality. And I also heard about 900 billion US dollars, 440 billion US dollars. Beyond the figures, what is very, very complicated is the structure of the climate finance. Developing nations are pushing for concessional loans, they're pushing for grants, and it looks like developed nations are not very much in favor of that proposition. And also we know that within the EU circles, they discussed a 300 billion package internally. It looks like Japan is happy with this, and they could work hand in hand. Apart from those big divisions between global north and south, there are actually divisions within the global north camp as well, between United States and European Union. It looks like I'm given to understand that on the basis of my conversation with delegates and some other individuals here, that EU feels the sense of urgency. They clearly understand that in the light of Trump's re-election and possible US withdrawal from the Paris Agreement, we have to achieve something now, otherwise it will be too late. So if we fail here in Baku in 2024, the years of inaction will follow afterwards. So we have to really achieve something quite considerable. Different figures have been mentioned, of course, and apart from the complexities involving the structure of the climate finance, there are some other elements here. We know that China is exerting a massive pressure on China plus G77 countries, and I think that negotiations will prove to be very complicated during the course of forthcoming days. About the possibility of a delay, I think it has been considered as a contingency plan, but it's not a foregone conclusion. Perhaps there will not be a delay, but it looks like that, bearing in mind that Sunday is going to be day off, the final decision will actually be taken on Monday, on the 25th of November.
Interesting. So, Stacey, then a delay looks reasonably likely. What's your sense of overall how well these negotiations are progressing?
It's really progressive, as each day when we open news and reading about the achievements of each single day meetings between the delegates, it's being highlighted as a historical meetings, historical discussion and historical achievements in the end. As yesterday we also spoke with both of you that it's quite complicated for the countries to come up with any consensus. As my colleague also mentioned, the geopolitical situation in the global world is quite complicated. Donald Trump in the United States and the less developed countries, non-developed countries, which are now trying to get more attention to the domestic issues they have, and many of them came here in order to get financial support, and the numbers are really huge, big numbers. They want to get this. I can see how international organizations like the United Nations agencies like FAO are trying to create the conditions, proper conditions for the member states to come together and discuss on how they can achieve the consensus. But what the international organizations can do, they can only create the conditions for discussions. They cannot push the governments to work closer if they don't want to do it. If they're not willing to negotiate, any international organizations can do it for them. Therefore, the conditions are created. The platforms, there are many of them. And what we need now, the intentions of these countries to come closer and finally to get the consensus. As Orhan already said, if we don't have it here at COP29, then we will lose much time, a lot of months and years even, when the countries won't be able to do something. They will not be able to proceed from the action which was negotiated at COP28 in Dubai to the concrete action now after COP29 is finished here in Baku, Azerbaijan. So now it's a time for agreements and actions to be proceeded by all member states without any exceptions.
Yeah, it's a key point that you've both made. Now really is the time for action. Well, Ken, one of the things that came through to me today in the interviews that I was doing was this sense of being different views of what success looks like. You spoke about the different figures that have been discussed. We've also heard that as well as progressing the debates, discussions, negotiations on these big headline items like the climate finance agreement, there's also a lot more going on here. You know, many of the world's biggest organizations are meeting. They're discovering new opportunities to partner with one another. There's innovation going on. Just talk to me a little bit about your sense of what success looks like.
Well, within the confines of multilateral diplomacy platform, a number of discussions are taking place about different matters. So today's focus, for example, was on climate resilient cities, because we understand that the current crisis that we are facing, its global climate crisis, is actually the result of the progress. We achieved something, and the global climate crisis is inextricably connected with the degree of success that we have achieved already. And now it looks like our ambition is to continue this trajectory of growth. We need to increase, we need to augment our economies, we need to augment the connectivity agenda. East must be connected with West, but simultaneously within the course of this processes. We need to make sure that low carbon, low emission, climate resilient, eco-friendly future can also be established. In the context of tourism sector, for example, today I was talking to the Chief Executive Officer of Azerbaijan Tourism Board, and the low impact tourism was discussed, because tourism inevitably, as you mentioned earlier, and Anastasia too, that involves movement, it involves action. You have to visit different countries. Naturally, your carbon footprint will grow exponentially as a result of your trips to different parts of the world, but the low impact tourism actually takes into account the necessity of preserving local culture, and also its carbon footprint is incredibly mitigated and limited. So there's a philosophical underlying factor here. We need to get bigger economically. We need to augment our capabilities. We need to explore, understand the world better. All of these activities require spending energy, and that carbon footprint will go up exponentially with those activities. But would it be possible actually, while doing all of those things, also find out innovative mechanisms which will ensure that we're also not damaging our planet, our climate? I think this sense of this task, this gargantuan task, which now may seem to be absolutely impossible, will actually force us as humanity to find something extraordinarily new. I think that lies at the heart of the progress. When you're facing a new type of challenge, it seems to be an impossible task, your mind is stretched out and you need to find something new, something unheard of. And I think that this is at the heart of debate here as well. We want to grow economically, we want to explore the world better, but we also need to find climate-friendly solutions. And that will give us intellectual challenge, and if we are capable of rising to that challenge, we will be better off, all of us, all together.
Yes, very much so. Thank you both very much indeed, as always. Let's hope we are capable, and all the delegates and politicians and organisations are capable of rising to that challenge here now. We are getting very close to the end of this event. It's palpable, the pressure, the anticipation that we can feel around us at this venue. We hope to bring you news of agreements as soon as they come in, so please do stay with us for our continuous coverage of COP29 here on AnewZ.